we wouldn't alert parents from a fight. We wouldn't alert parents that a student got caught with a jewel pipe or something on them. For a weapon, we would. So that would be the gray area. If we had a student brought to the office for whatever reason, and then it turned out they had some type of weapon on them, that's that gray area. That would resort to some kind of command structure and parental notification.
Thanks. Sorry, maybe one or two. When you came to Newtown and you found that the existing security procedures were not quite up to the level that they should be, and you were adding additional things, and I don't know exactly what the timeline was, eventually you got to the point where you had, multiplied the number of cameras in the district by a factor of greater than 10. You had added armed police officers. How, I imagine you did this, how did you strike a balance between adding the additional security that is necessary to ensure that students and faculty are safe, while also maintaining a welcoming and environment that was conducive to learning?
That's definitely the balancing act of the whole component. Back prior to 12/14 and on that day, I had mentioned that there were cameras in the high school. Those were put in before I got there, but the Board of Education had a policy. A policy that says the cameras could not be watched live. They were only for going back and pulling up data afterwards. So that's where I kind of get to that policy thing. That's the first policy. The next Board of Ed meeting after the tragedy, that's the first thing they changed. Because again, before the tragedy, that was a balancing act. It was a big thing to, now we're going to have cameras in the schools. What's the parameters? At that moment in time, and I think they went into 2006, 2007, those cameras were installed. That was where the community and educators were as far as the big brother, so to speak. Okay. Cameras may or may not be a good thing, but they're only going to be for after the fact. You're not going to be able to watch them live to where we are now. Not only watch them live, the police department can tie in and watch them live. So everything we do is a balancing act. In Newtown before the tragedy, again, the doors were locked. We had an A-phone system. We had procedures in place. We had those off-campus staging locations identified. That's why the kids instinctively ran to Sandy Hook School because that was one of their two off-site locations. The decision to put the command post there was definitely not a good idea. One of the other main things you learned from this tragedy is something called reunification, and that's in the event where you would have to, it's some type of traumatic event where you have to go outside your normal dismissal procedures. In Newtown, that was sorely lacking at the day of the tragedy, because basically they had all the parents and all the kids and all the first responders at the Sandy Hook Firehouse, and they called parents' names until they ran out of kids to give the parents. It was terrible. And that's another aspect that came from all this about expectations. We talk about gray area. Parents in Newtown expected, if their child, God forbid, is hurt or injured, that up front they're going to know where to go, where to report to Danbury Hospital, where they're going to go, not to be made to stand in line, with parents whose kids are fine. So to answer your question, school security, any security, it's a very gray area. And you do the best you can. You'll be able to tell by the barometer in your individual community of where's your baseline, what's the extreme, and we look at a program somewhere between the extreme and the baseline.
Thank you very much.
I have a question on how you got the teachers, and I'm not casting aspersions on the teachers, but the big brother aspect of it, so that they're constantly being watched the whole time that they're in the school. It gives me sort of a spine-chilling thought to think that somebody could be staring at me all day long while I'm working. So how do you adjust to that kind of thing?
We don't have cameras in the classrooms whatsoever. We do have them in some of the gymnasiums, which when they were put in, we never really thought, wow, it's somebody's classroom, but no, out of all 1,000 people that work in the Newtown Public Schools, I've never had a single person or teacher come to me to complain about the cameras. It'd be the opposite. If a teacher heard these cameras are IP-based and they go down sometimes, teachers freak out if they go by the security desk and know what's going on. Oh, we got a few cameras down. That puts them on edge more than the cameras, going throughout the day in the hallways.
No, when you said you had all those cameras, I wasn't sure and that they were always on and that any certain groups could see them. I didn't realize that they were not on in the classroom. I didn't have an issue with them on in the halls. I just had an issue with them in the classroom.
And the only people that can view the cameras are the school administrators or the security personnel. That's it. The big problem we ran into is some of the custodians at nighttime be friends with the security guys, and they want to use them to watch. One custodian's not cleaning his area the right way, and they want to get on. And we don't play that. They're there for a purpose. They're there for a security purpose, and it's just administrators and security personnel that are allowed to view the cameras. And as I mentioned, I don't know if I think I was talking to Aaron before. I am the district keeper of the video. I'm the gatekeeper. The only people that can download a video on or a hard drive is an administrator or me. That's it. Security officers can't even download. If anything's going to go on a CD-ROM or any kind of portable device, I am the only one that can do that. The area of cameras in the school with FERPA is kind of uncharted territory. And with our council, we kind of worked into this program that this is how we would do it. If you're even thinking about doing the cameras, the other issue is when you have a parents know there's cameras in the school, their kid gets in a fight or their kid gets disciplined for doing something, and then they want to view the footage. Because right now, there's no way to bifurcate out individual faces, the technology's not quite there. If a parent wanted to come in and we had our kid put a ski mask on and run around Newtown High School like he was a terrorist, and the parents didn't believe it until they came and sat with me to watch it. But that's the only way we give out information like that. So the cameras are an acceptable part of the school.
Thank you very much. I'm going to pick up bits and pieces from things that have already been talked about. I just have a few questions about all of them. We're starting out with the cameras now. That's fascinating because you talk about the comfort level of a person when there are cameras around. You have discrete cameras where you rather know that there's well, I shouldn't say what it is right now, but they're there, but it's hard to see that they're there, so I don't feel threatened by them. But there are times when maybe you want people to know, hey, here's a camera. Is there a preference as to what type of camera you're using?
Our exterior cameras outside the building, because they have to be encased for weather, they're much bigger. Most of our cameras are very similar to like a dome style like that, ceiling mounted, where people can see them, but they don't even pay attention to them.
Let's see. Another thing I found pretty interesting was I think about, you got police training, teacher training, student training, but you also have to have parent training. And you hit on that a little bit, I think, and you said you go to parent groups and so forth to try and, maybe there's a better word for training a parent, but to let them know what their role should be or what they should and shouldn't be doing. But if you're just going to parents group, isn't this like hit or miss? Is there a better way to go about that?
you can, the face-to-face contact works with the PTA, works for us with our PTAs and the PTA presidents. Also in the messaging, again, Aaron, you can share that messaging all you like. There's specifics in there from the superintendent, depending on the response we have in place. Please do not call your child. Please do not come to the school. So as part of the messaging aspect, it's there. But parents also know from community meetings we have and again, the newsletters, what the expectations are.
Let's see. Another thing, it's fascinating for me to hear from people who have more experience than just here. This is kind of my world. I don't know anything beyond that. Affected schools versus schools that haven't been affected yet. There are schools that have already lived through tragedy, and their approach towards security is a certain way. There are other schools who haven't had a tragedy. And in your experience, is their approach kind of a little bit different?
Absolutely. I mean, Sandy Hook happened in Newtown, so the expectation is in the community is there's going to be security, there's going to be armed security, there's going to be planning. We've talked about in Newtown, how are we going to back this up someday? Wind it back a little bit. I just don't see it happening at least till the kids who were in Sandy Hook graduate in 2024. But again, it happened in Newtown. I will tell you there are school districts that border Newtown that they lock their front door and, that's about it. There's no security presence. There's no armed presence. They may or may not have cameras. So, people come to us and they're like, wow, you guys are really overboard. But that's the community expectation. If I ever said, I think we need to do away with the armed security, I didn't have my head. The expectation of the expectations of where they are now, and that's because the tragedy happened in Newtown.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is that we've had many discussions, especially on a subcommittee level, where there's one discussion, I remember one evening, it actually became rather spirited, that we came across the spendings of X numbers of dollars to do what we need to do now. So there was a sense of urgency to spend these dollars now. We don't have all the dollars to do what we need to do now. But we are yet to be, a school that has experienced that kind of a tragedy. So I wonder, would we have a greater sense of urgency if something like this was struck a little closer to home, as opposed to a school system that you're involved with?
I think undoubtedly. And the other big challenge in Newtown, let's just step away from the tragedy for a second, is the new Sandy Hook School. The new Sandy Hook School is a $50 million gift from the taxpayers of Connecticut to the town of Newtown. They spent every penny of that $50 million. So what do you think happened with the other 6 schools, the parents and the administrators and teaching those schools? Well, what about us? The retrofitting that we've done to the other buildings is just as incredible. There's a lot of things you can do. I don't want to say on the cheap, but for lower cost. But at the end of the day, it starts with, do you have a plan? And you build everything off that plan. You can get into building hardening things. You can put film on the glass, and you can put intruder style locks. But it's a lot of simple things that you can do that are cost effective. Do you have a plan? Is your staff trained? Do they know what they're going to do? And one of the things we had in Newtown High School before the tragedy was every time they put an addition on the building, they just put another right angle on it. But so there's A through F wings. So if you're a teacher in A wing, the way it used to be, and you had a computer lab in F wing, your key didn't work. You didn't have a way of locking your door. Now that's all changed where the keying system, who has access, what keys work what. We have a badge system, so if you're a paraeducator that travels between schools, what access do you have? It's things like that you can do relatively cost effective to give people a sense of security without breaking the bank.
Okay, and my last question, please. You talked earlier about having concealed carries approaches. You're saying what you call a soft approach,
Right.
and another approach where they had the black outfit and everything. And you said that one approach became preferred over another, but you didn't really give a reason why this approach was preferred over this approach.
The softer approach, and I'll leave you with this. At the end of the day, we're in the business of educating kids and teaching and learning. And the last thing I would want to see is, turning into schools into some type of correctional institute. We've had many offers. Companies want to come to Newtown. We want to put metal detectors. I worked in Los Angeles. I saw these kids lined up every morning before they go into school there. Metal detectors is not something that we're looking to do or will do in Newtown. So at the end, it's basically what you want, what your community's expectations are.
I just have a couple of questions for you, and I think we started talking about this one at some point, but in a district, I'm going back to incident command for a second, in a district like ours, where we don't have a director of security, I know we talked about that portion, that part of the incident command falling on the facilities director sometimes, or someone in another role, and I'm wondering if you have any experience with or any knowledge of how that works, because that person often might not have any experience in law enforcement, and puts him or her in a position where they're working with police and the superintendent in a crisis situation, which may not really be what they signed up for. So just wondering how that sort of thing works.
Exactly. And again, we kind of broached that with our district safety and security committee, because again, I gave you who the members of the committee are, and there's law enforcement, and there's even a parent representation on that committee. We kind of melded everybody together. We've done, we brought in an outside consulting firm that did 3 tabletops with our administrators just to get them focused on incident command and how it works. Being that you don't have a director of security, the initial incident command is going to rest with your building administrator or their designee. The one thing about incident command, and the chief will tell you, is it's not the highest ranking individual, it's the most qualified individual. Again, in Newtown, we've done extensive training with the administrators just to get them to understand the concept. Because again, you're right, they signed up to be teachers, not law enforcement, but the same strategies apply whether it's in the police world or the school world.
So can I just respond to that quickly? Just for incident command in our district, I think I have the chief's all 3 cell phones. So if anything is gray, the chief is an excellent partner. Our building principals know to call my office immediately. If I have any questions, it's an immediate phone call to the chief on how we're going to handle the situation. If there is a possible crime, the chief and I have had many conversations to make sure that everything is reported to him, and then an officer will be the incident commander. So I just want to reassure the committee that we have open communications with the chief and his sergeants and lieutenants. If something is going to take place in the schools, that there's immediate communication, and within 45 seconds there will be an officer on site in both Bristol and Warren. So I think our communication has increased over the years, and I know if there's any kind of questions, it's an immediate phone call from the chief.
Thank you. And I do of course understand that. I was just thinking of that triangle with the police chief and the police department, you as a public information officer, superintendent, also in that command, and then, someone in Mark's type role at the school level. Mark, also in terms of messaging, I just want to clarify so we understand here today. frame in a policy. Something that we want to do, that we've been thinking about doing because parents really want to get information quickly, but obviously we can't make a guarantee on when that information will come, is to put out some kind of messaging on our district website that says, low impact, moderate impact, we talked a little about this, for a high impact situation, this is the mode the school will go into, and then this is how we will communicate with you. So I just want to make sure I understand, I think what you are advising is that in that kind of public information that we put out, the way that we communicate should be a little bit more vague in terms of time frame, whereas in our templates for our procedures on how we're responding or communicating with the public, we can have in those, in our procedures and guidelines, the public should be informed or parents and guardians should be informed within 30 minutes of the incident, but that's not in a policy or...
Correct, because of the variables that undoubtedly come. With your low impact, medium impact, you're going to call it that. That's fine. You can structure it the way you like. You're just going to have to make sure that your parents know what is a low impact event, what is a medium impact, and what is a high impact. Because in stressful situations, and the police officer will tell you, people sometimes have tunnel vision and they don't know what you're saying. But like for instance, I keep talking about, I said it a few times tonight, safe school mode. Safe school mode we used to call lock in. And then we learned from staff, as soon as they hear that word lock over the VA, they're not differentiating between lock in, which is a low level, and lockdown, which is a high level. They're immediately going to that high level, that high level place. So if you're going to do those kind of levels, make sure you keep the levels to a minimum, and that the parents and the kids know what's in those levels.
I think that there's a danger too that, every incident to a parent is high. It doesn't matter if it's a hangnail or whatever, it's, to a parent it can be high until someone makes sure it comes down. I think that's a pretty analogy of lock in, lock out. Sorry.
No, that's fair.
Last question, Mark. And this, I know you may not be able to give a direct answer because I'm going to ask you about other school districts. But since you were at the epicenter 4 years ago, just really interested to know the school districts around Newtown or throughout Connecticut, or if you've heard anything just outside the state, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Are you seeing more and more school districts reaching out to you, trying to establish something new, establish modified version, whatever?
Absolutely. One of the first, believe it or not, school districts to